All right, welcome to the after work video. We're going to be sticking to the schedule where my second video for this study, for studying for this exam, happens as close to after the clock, the whistle blows after my work day as possible. So I was able to start it 6 minutes after, so I think that's pretty darn good. And I'll be studying up until 6 o'clock. All right, so I'm sharing my second screen here. Let's get right back into where we left off. So where we left off, we were looking at what happens when there's a error with the, when there's an issue with the ISO addresses, because the topic given in the curriculum just says address issues, but it's address issues for IGPs, and not all IGPs use IP addresses. Some of them use ISO NET addresses. Okay, so looks like the console connections I had before are no longer up. Oh, so am I having the bug? Ah, shoot, I'm having the bug. So I guess I can just do a cold reboot at the end of each of the workday as well. It'd be nice if I could set up my cron job and have reboots a half an hour before the lunchtime video and a half an hour before the end of the workday video. Let's in fact do that, just because now that I have my schedule set, it's just going to be much more valuable because I know exactly what I'm going to study. Before, I would just do it at 5 a.m. because I didn't know exactly when I would study. But now I know it takes 6 minutes to reboot, so I can even just do it like 15 minutes beforehand and guarantee have a fresh install. So, or not a fresh install, but a command line that does not hang. Guarantee that for myself. So let's try to do that. So I think I remember how I did it before. Unfortunately, I did not write that down. I wonder if there's a way I can take notes or something. Yes, so I can add notes, and I can say how I figured out how to set up the cron job if I can get it to work. So let's open the console in a new tab, start the shell, and see if I can figure out how to set up the cron job. I think I know where I went wrong. I was using crontab, which is just specific to the user. So either the user does not have, I wasn't using sudo in the crontab, or it just doesn't run. So let's see here, configure network settings. It'd be nice if there was like a crontab option in here, but I really don't see one. So let's go into the shell and see if I can figure it out. So here's my cursor at the bottom here. I can't really see it too well. So there we go. Because unfortunately I was able to get through the rewards program at my previous job. I was able to get a free TV, but the TV they sent me only had one leg on it. So if I want to get the other leg, which is just this 5-cent piece of plastic, I had got to send the whole TV back. And it's like, well, I need to use the TV for my second monitor, so just waiting to send it back, it's like, well, that's kind of too much of a hassle. So right now I've just got it in the styrofoam that it came in, and as such I can't see the very bottom of it. So I'm thinking about just buying an extra $30 stand, $20 stand, because it'll be better than if I get the second one of this anyway. It'll be more adjustable, and I'll be able to swivel it, and that'll solve my problem. So a little bit of extra money, but a better result. All right, so yep, let's find everything that says cron. So we'll go to here and we'll do find -name cron. Oops, let's do a sudo. There we go. Yeah, so we've got etc crontab. We've got all sorts of things. Oh, let's do so let's redirect this output into find results, or let's call it found.txt. Oops, so we got to do a sudo. Oh, well, actually, never mind. There we go. There we go, perfect. So we're going to redirect the output into a new file so we can look through that output a lot easier. Okay, and we don't need to wait for the whole thing to complete. In fact, let's stop it right near here. And I can even see, I think, what I need to do. So you can see on there, well, maybe not, but let me move my, okay, so I've got my cursor here, shaking it. So you can see etc default -cron. I think that's what I did last time. When I just used crontab, I couldn't find a way to actually trigger it and have it reliably run. So I ended up just editing /default/cron, and I had a better result. Oh, but I'm not sure how I did that. Here we go. So I had nano. Yeah, so I think I had to use the deprecated file. Let's see here. So let's try what they're suggesting though. So I'm gonna pull up a notepad. Yeah, because if I can get this cron tab set up, it'll save me potentially 6 minutes every single time I want to study, which will be, 12 minutes a day. So it's really worth taking the time, even if it takes me a full half hour, even an hour, 12 minutes, that's close to 15 minutes. So that's just 4 days where that work will start to pay off on the 5th day. So yeah, let's really put some time into this and figure out how to get this to work. So this file has been deprecated. So this is going to be system ctl edit cron.service. Okay, so exit. All right, and let's type this in here. Oops, we're going to need to use a sudo. Okay, so here's what. Now this is configuration, so we don't need configuration necessarily. What we need is so let's look at let's do cat found pipe less. Okay, so var spool, we've got an etc-crontab. We've got etc cron dot weekly, hourly, lots of different files. So yeah, I'm not sure how I got this to work. I'm pretty sure it was working, but I don't remember how, and I didn't write it down. Shame on me for that, but I will do that this time. I can take notes. So let's go ahead and search for that. So GNS3 server cron. So yep, must include cron. I wish it would just automatically have that. Here we go. So I think I see something here about creating a cron job. Yeah, see, but this is what I did, and it didn't work. Just do a crontab-e, and then add the following to crontab. Yeah, I did all that, and it did not work. Yeah, if I do a crontab-e, yep, you can see I've got it. So maybe because I'm missing sudo, let me try adding that. Okay, and then let me try changing when this happens. So I believe now I do have a tool I can use. Yep, crontab guru. So, yep, so the first one is the minute, so it's going to be 45. And then the hour is going to be at 11. And then the day, we're going to have it be every day. I guess not on the weekends, though, because I'm not sure when I would do it on the weekends. I mean, we can just do it every day. It's not a big deal. It's only 6 minutes. So yeah, I think every day on the weekends will be fine. Even though it runs on the weekends, and I'm not exactly sure when I'd be using it on the weekends, it's really not that destructive to just have it reboot. It's just 6 minutes, and I doubt I'd be using it exactly from 11. I guess the danger is I'm using it and then it just reboots on me, but yeah, and that could actually be something that could happen. But I can hopefully just shape my weekend around it. It's good to have a really rock solid, consistent schedule anyway. So let's do 11 o'clock, and it's even going to be like that during the weekends, but that's fine. And then yeah, and then we'll do a second one, which is going to be 45. But then it's not going to be at 11 o'clock. It's going to be, now is it in, oops, so this is interesting because, oh, no, this is right, 11. So let's try 13. So it is in 24-hour formats. So we want it to be ready for the after work video, which is at 5, which would be 7. So it's going to be 16. So yep, because it's -2 to get the actual hour, so 6:54. So this would be at 4:45. So it would be ready to go at 5 if I do 45:16. Okay, and hopefully just the addition of this sudo command will allow it to work. Okay, and let's read the message. Edit this file to introduce tasks to be run by CRON. Each task to run has to be defined through a single line indicating with different fields when the task will be run and what command to run for the task. To define the time, you can provide concrete values for minute, hour, day of month, and day of the week, or use stars in these fields or any. Notice that the tasks will be started based on the CRON's system daemons notation of time and time zones. Okay, so that's interesting. I will need to check the time and the time zone online to make sure that's correct. So I'll just write down that whole sentence. Notice that tasks will be started based on the CRON's system daemons notion of time and time zones. Okay. Output of the crontab jobs, including errors, is sent through email to the user. The crontab file belongs to unless redirected. For example, you can run a backup of all your user accounts at 5 a.m. every week. Okay, I guess I do want to receive an email because that's a surefire way for me to know whether or not the cron job did trigger. So first of all, let's see if I've got public internet access. Let's actually first of all, let's save this. Oh, and let's keep down those. So for more, oops. So for more information, see the manual pages of crontab 5 and cron 8. Okay. So this looks good. Let's save it. Now this is an interesting file name because it's a temporary file. So that might not be enough to have it work the way I need it to. That might be a reason why it's not working. So let's edit etc crontab instead of using that crontab-e. So I believe this is what I did. This is why it worked, because I edited the system-wide crontab. So unlike any other crontab, you don't have to run the crontab command to install the new version when you edit this file and files in etc/cron-d. These files also have username fields that none of the other crontabs do. So let's just try running the crontab command first. Oh, I see. So the way this works, so the way a cron job works, if you're using it through crontab-e, and oh man, it's really kind of disgusting that they don't tell you that in the tutorials, but you've got to have the crontab daemon running specifically in order to have that execute. So as long as this command is running, then those will trigger. But the thing is, when it reboots, this command is no longer going to be running. So you can only run that crontab-e one time because it reboots it and it will no longer be running this daemon when it starts up. Now, what you can do is add this to automatically run when the system starts up, but that's a lot more complicated than just simply adding it to the system-wide crontab, where you don't have to have that command running in order for the cron jobs to execute. And this is, I remember, what I did last time. So let's go with that route. And before we do that, let's go back to our crontab-e. Okay, and let's just record down the commands we're going to need. Okay, I don't think we'll need the sudo. We can just leave it. Hopefully it will work. Oh, but we will need to modify this command a little bit because the system-wide crontab has an extra field for the user. Okay, so everything looks pretty good right now. The other thing we're going to need is we're going to need to add this to the notes for this VM. So we gotta make sure we know which file we're editing. So to do that, it's just nano etc crontab, I believe. But let's, we could just leave this. If I want this file to run, again, all I need to do is type in crontab, and then as long as this command is running, so I can open a screen or something like that and have that running, it will work. Fortunately, you only get one shot unless you have crontab run when it reboots. You only get one shot if you're rebooting the system. But this is definitely probably the preferred way to do it. It's just I kind of want the easy way at this point. But if you're doing a lot of different complicated cron jobs, it probably is better to have to not just have them in the system-wide cron tab. To have particular cron tabs is probably better. All right. Okay, so let's add our cron job. Or we're going to have two cron jobs. Okay, it's going to be the root user, so I don't think we'll need the sudo, so I'll just leave that off of there. Okay, so now let's try 4516. Okay, so hopefully these will trigger now. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see until the lunchtime video tomorrow. Oops. And I also forgot to use sudo. So whenever you're editing something in the etc folder, you've got to have sudo. And etc, I don't think it stands for etc in Linux. Yeah. Oh, it does stand for etc. Okay. It's just a weird, like etc. to me is kind of a weird thing because you wouldn't necessarily think of your bones and your skeleton, your muscles as etc. And it really, to me, etc seems to be exactly that. It seems to be a lot of, yeah. So it's system-wide configuration files and system databases. So you know, it's your nervous system. It's kind of your, you know, your brains, your beliefs. It's a lot of really important things. So to have those labeled as etc. To me, I don't understand where the naming comes from. It definitely came from Linus. Let's see if there's a yeah, so etc is the nerve center of your system. So I wouldn't really think to call your nerves center, etc. Like that's kind of the main part, like that. So I would think it would have its own like nerve or like center, CTR, like that would be a good. I think that would be a better abbreviation than ETC for that folder, CTR, because it stands for center. or SYS, but I think there was already SYS is already used, so you can't use that. Let's see if SYS is used. Yeah, so SYS is already used. So it's kind of interesting. I wonder what SYS means. There was a really good page. Yeah. Yeah, this is really good. So what is SYS? Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure where that ETC comes from, but it's always kind of, yeah. It's always kind of unintuitive to me sometimes, the conventions in Linux and stuff. But of course, you know, how unintuitive would Windows be for me if I haven't used it my whole life? So it's probably just a matter of it being new. And then, of course, I've never even used an Apple really that extensively too. So let's yep, we've got the lab up and running now. So let's save this now that we've got it sudo, and now let's print it out using cat. Oops, so we still don't have the changes on there for some reason. So let's make sure that they've been added, and we are going to need sudo. Okay, so let's add those changes back in. Okay, so instead of hitting the exits, let's do Control O for write out. There we go. Wrote the lines because I've got sudo access now. All right, so now we're good to go, and it'll just automatically trigger, unlike the one that was specific to the user. This is the system-wide, so you don't have to do the crontab command. Now you might need to restart the crontab daemon. Let's try that. Yeah, so let's try restarting cron.service. Oops. Yeah, let's see all that. Okay, well, I don't see that, so let's do a Google search for it. Okay, because I'm just not sure if you need to or not, and I don't want to wait until tomorrow to figure out. So, here we go. Well, that's cron D. Okay, so let's try this. Oops. Okay, well, I don't see how to do it. One thing I can do, and I think I am going to do this just because I really want this to work. It's going to save me a lot of time. It's even worth devoting the whole hour to for this video, I think, because after on the 5th session, or definitely by the 10th session, which is only a week of sessions, I will have made up the time for it. So let's do that. Let's just set up a cron job to trigger in a few minutes, and let's see if the lab actually reboots. So we're going to do it at 40, and then the hour is going to be, right now it's 5, so it'll be 17. Root. Oops, and I did not make it. Oh, I did do sudo. Okay, so perfect. So now in 2 minutes, it will hopefully reboot. If not, there is an issue with the cron job. Let's figure out what the date is. So yep, it's June 18th today, and yep, so it's got the right time. So let's just keep looking at that and do a countdown in 2 minutes, and hopefully it will reboot. If it doesn't reboot, then we know that we'll need to either restart the daemon, or we're just out of luck completely. Okay, so about 30 seconds before we can tell if the cron job was successful or not. All right, about 15 seconds. Oops, but one thing we will notice is that the time is actually in UTC, so it's not set correctly. It's set to 22. So we're going to need to either set the time zone to be different on here or use CTC in our calculations. Yep, and we can see it did not reboot because the time is in UTC. So let's say that 22 equals 1700 hours. So let's adjust our crontab, system-wide crontab here to be accurate for Central Time. So if 22 is equal to 17, we want it to happen the hour before. So we want it to happen at 21, because we want it to happen at 4. So this second one here that we want to happen at 4 is going to be happening at 21. So the other one we want to happen at 11 is going to be happening 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 hours earlier. So 4, 3, 2, 1, 12, 11. So 4:45, 3:45, 2:45, 1:45, 12:45, 11:45. So you have 6 hours earlier. So it's going to happen at 15. There we go, UTC. So 15 UTC, that's going to be at 11 o'clock. Okay, yeah, because this is UTC. So yeah, let's make absolutely sure of that. Yeah, so UTC to CST. And I think it's CST right now. It could be CDT. I'm really not sure. Let's use this converter here. Let's just say current time. It is CDT. So let's do UTC to CDT. Okay, converter, perfect. So yep, let's set the time for the first one we want, and and let's set it in CDT. So it's going to be 11:45 a.m. So it's 5 hours ahead. So it should be, yep, so this is 5 hours ahead. So let's see if it's 5 hours ahead on here. So oops, it actually looks like if it's 5 hours ahead, it's going to be triggering at because it should, if I wanted to trigger it at 11, I've got to set it to be 5 hours ahead of that. So I've got to set it to be 16 instead of 15. Now, why is it showing me it in this syntax, I wonder? That's not a useful syntax. It's not the syntax I will be getting for UTC. But it's 5 hours ahead. So if it were 11, it's going to be, yeah, right here. So that's PM. Okay, so 11 a.m. It's going to be 4 p.m., which in 24-hour time, it's going to be +2, so it's going to be 16. Okay, perfect. So then 5 p.m. Yep, right here, 5 p.m. That's going to be the equivalent to 11 p.m. In UTC, but in 24-hour time, it's going to be -2 + 12, so it's going to be 20, I believe. Yeah, 20. Okay. Well, so I actually wanted to. Oh shoot. Okay, so let me think here. So it's going to be. Oh, okay, but I was right when I had it at 15 because I wanted to trigger at 11. Okay, so 11 o'clock UTC. So not UTC, 11 o'clock CDT, which is the current time. Oops, and this is CST. I need CDT. Yep, CDT, 11 o'clock AM, is going to be 4 o'clock PM UTC. And to express that in 24-hour time, you just add 2 to it. So where it would be 1 o'clock, if you weren't doing 24-hour time, it would be 13 o'clock. Oh, so you got to add 2 at it. So it's going to be 16 o'clock. So 16:45. So I was incorrect. It's got to be 16. Okay, so now I'm getting the hang of it. So then the 5 o'clock one, that's going to be 22, because it's going to be 12 plus the value here plus 2, so it's going to be 22. And that makes sense because it's 2 hours before midnight. Okay, so now let's try to set one up to happen soon. So let's say it to happen 3 minutes from now at 50. And then let's try to figure out what the hour needs to be. So it is currently 5 o'clock here. So, that's a good. Oh, right. But I wanted to trigger at 4 o'clock, at 4:45. So it's going to be 21. And then I want the other one to trigger at. Yeah, okay, so this is right here. But this one, I wanted to trigger at 5 o'clock. So it's going to be 22. I want it to trigger at 5:50. So I think this is correct. Okay, so we've got our crontab. So let's check the date. And in a minute and a half, we will know if the crontab is correct or not. And if it is correct, we'll give it the 6 minutes to reboot, and we'll come back in and remove that extra test line. Oops, and I deleted my tab because the browser hotkeys overwrite the other ones. Okay, so we're going to know in about 40 seconds. I believe it was this much of a pain in the ass the first time, so definitely going to make sure to write that down. So let me work on that right now. So it's going to be nano, crontab. Oh, but I'll write down the correct hours, and then I'll say times. I'll say times are in UTC. Oh, so yeah, we can already see 2250. We've got a crontab set up for 2250. Yeah, but the crontab did not trigger, unfortunately. So there is some issue with our crontab where it did not trigger, even though we did have the correct date on there, 2250. So we're going to need to figure out why it did not trigger. I think the reason it did not trigger is because it needs to be, yeah. So if I were to do etc cron-d, or what about service cron restart? Okay. So yeah, I think I needed to restart the cron service. So let's test this hypothesis by going nano etc. Just going back to what I had before. So yep, crontab. So we're going to go to nano. Oops, and we're going to need to do sudo, of course. There we go. So let's clean this up here so it looks better. These are, I think, the ones we will be using. So I will change my notes. Yeah, because 16 is going to be, so times are in, yeah. So this is it. Okay, perfect. Oops, we are going to need another field here, so it's going to be, and then we will need to use a sudo. Okay, times are in UTC, and then we'll need one final command. It's going to be service CRON restart, and then the password is just GS3. Okay, so now let's set up a for realsies one. So it's going to be 54. We'll give it another 2 minutes. Okay, and now let's restart the CRON. It's going to be service CRON restart. Okay, so the authentication is complete. So hopefully this will now work. So we'll find out in a little bit. Yep, so we'll find out at 54. It is currently 53, so we'll find out in about 30 seconds. I really think this is going to work, so I kind of want to just add this note now. And even if it doesn't work, it's kind of a good note to have. But we'll find out in 20 seconds, so I'll just hold on until then, until we know for sure. Okay, so we've got 5 seconds to go until we know if it's going to reboot. Okay, and we know for sure that the crontab did not work. It did not reboot. So I wonder if I need a sudo. I guess I'll try that next. And I'll try getting rid of the S-bin too. I'll just do sudo shutdown -r now is my command. Okay, and then I'll increment the, I can probably even do 55. Yep, so we'll know in 4 seconds if it works or not. And if it doesn't work, which I think it already didn't work. Yep, it didn't work. So the other thing we can try is changing it to 6. Oops. Oh, it worked. It worked. It worked. It worked. Yes. Okay. So it did work this time. It's just I had the command wrong or something. But yeah. So now all we need to do is once it's back up again, go and remove that extra command, and we are good to go. Unless, of course, it updates the. Okay, good. It didn't. It didn't update the the software version to 2.9 DEV. Oh, that I might have cried if that happened. I might have. I guess there's no shame in crying if your server accidentally upgrades to an incompatible version and you need to wipe it and reinstall it. There's no shame in crying in that case. Okay, so shell, let's do the sudo nano etc cron tab. Okay, and now we won't need this last one. Okay, but we will need those other two. But we've already got them. Okay, so now let's just make sure before closing that everything's right. In our notes. Oh, no, so we didn't make the changes yet. Yep, so it's going to be root. Oh, and we'll need sudo as well, or I don't know if we need it, but it works when we have it, so we may as well include it. Yep, so this is going to be sudo nano etc crontab is the file. Then it's going to be 45.16.21, so it's going to reboot at 11 a.m., which 5 hours later is because so we wanted to reboot at 11 a.m. CDT. Now 5 hours later, that's going to be UTC, which is going to be yeah, it's going to be 4. Yeah. So it's going to be 4 p.m. UTC, but we're putting it in the 24-hour time. So to do that, you just add the number of hours past noon, so 4 hours to the number 12. So we get 16. So it'll trigger at 4:45. Yeah, it'll trigger at 4:45 UTC, which 5 hours earlier than that will be 11:45 CDT. So 11:45, just in time for my lunchtime video, it'll reboot, and it'll do the same just in time for my after work video. Okay, so let's add these to times our UTC, and we'll say 5 hours ahead. Okay. So let's add the note there. All right, and unfortunately, this is all I could get to in this video, but it's going to be worth it because dealing with that command line being lost, I'm going to get an extra 6 minutes per video, which over the next 3 months will really add up. It'll definitely be more than an hour of savings with 2 videos a day. That's 12 minutes a day, and I'll get back potentially. Worst case scenario. So over the course of 3 months, that's going to be really good. So let's, yep. So sudo there. Yep. And let's add a reboot at 11:05 a.m. Perfect. Okay, times UTC. Okay, so we'll save that, and that's the end of the video. Unfortunately, not a lot of JNCIE-SP content, but it is really helpful, I believe, to know how to set up a cron job, and I hope it helps somebody to know that in this case I required a system-wide cron job. So anyone who had a same issue, hopefully they were helped out by this. So setting up a system-wide cron job to prepare my lab and avoid 6-minute delays when the CLI hang up GMS3. Okay, and unfortunately, I can't really include all these tags on there. So let's change the tags for these. It's going to be Linux. It's going to be okay. So that's the video. Oh, I'll add this there as well. All right. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Unfortunately, everything had to get pushed back, but over the long run, I'll save a lot of time. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.